Two nations, one ancient land, a rivalry so deep, so blood-soaked, so prophetically charged that it stretches not just across decades, but across millennia. Today, Iran and Israel stare at each other across the Middle East like two titans preparing for a final reckoning. Ballistic missiles have been fired. Proxy wars rage through Lebanon, Gaza, and Syria. Leaders on both sides speak in the language of annihilation. But here is the question almost no one is asking. Was this written long before any of us were born? Today we go back, all the way back, past the 1979 Islamic Revolution, past World War II, past the Roman Empire, back to the ancient world where the Bible itself recorded the first clash between the Jewish people and the empire that would one day become the nation of Iran. This is not just history. This is prophecy in motion. To understand why Iran and Israel are enemies today, you first have to understand something that will absolutely shock you. They weren't always enemies. In fact, at one of the darkest moments in all of Jewish history, it was the Persian Empire, the very land we now call Iran, that stepped in and saved the Jewish people from total destruction. Let us go back to 539 BCE. The Jewish people are in chains. Jerusalem has been burned to the ground. The great Temple of Solomon, the holiest site in all of Judaism, lies in smoldering ruins. The entire nation has been dragged into exile by the Babylonian Empire, forced to live as captives in a foreign land for 70 long years. Then something extraordinary happens. A king named Cyrus the Great, founder of the Achaemenid Persian Empire, conquers Babylon. And what does this Persian king do next? He does something no conqueror in the ancient world had ever done before. He sets the captives free. In the book of Ezra, Cyrus is depicted as issuing a decree allowing the Jewish exiles in Babylon to return to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. This is seen as a pivotal moment in Jewish history, marking the end of the Babylonian exile. But the Bible goes even further than that. It does not merely call Cyrus a generous king. It calls him something staggering. In Isaiah 45 verse 1, the prophet refers to Cyrus as God's anointed, a remarkable title for a non-Israelite ruler. Think about that for a moment. The Hebrew word used there is Mashiach, Messiah. God called a Persian king his anointed one, a pagan ruler, a man who did not worship the God of Israel. And yet the Bible declares that God himself chose this man to restore his people. One of the most astonishing facts of ancient history is that this pagan Persian king was also called God's shepherd in Isaiah 44 verse 28. Subsequent Persian rulers, including Darius I and Artaxerxes, continued to support the rebuilding of Jerusalem and allowed Jewish religious and civil institutions to re-establish themselves. Far from being adversaries, the Persians were essential to the survival and revival of the Jewish people after the exile. So let that sink in. The nation of Persia, modern-day Iran, was once the instrument God used to bring the Jewish people home. The Second Temple, the temple that stood in Jerusalem during the time of Jesus, was rebuilt because of Persian generosity and Persian support. For a brief and brilliant moment in history, Persia and Israel were not enemies. They were something closer to divine partners. But then, everything changed. It is now the 4th century BCE. The Persian Empire is still the greatest power on earth, stretching across 127 nations from India to Ethiopia. The Jewish people are living scattered across this empire, far from fully restored, still largely in the diaspora. And in the royal court of King Ahasuerus, the king the Greeks called Xerxes, a man rises to power who will become one of the most infamous villains in all of biblical history. His name is Haman. As recorded in the Book of Esther, Haman was the scheming prime minister who convinced King Ahasuerus to allow the annihilation of all Jews in his sprawling empire of Persia and Media. Now, who exactly was Haman? The Bible is very specific about his origins, and those origins matter enormously. The Book of Esther tells us that Haman was a descendant of Amalek, a nation known for its hatred of the Jewish people. The Amalekites were the ancient sworn enemies of Israel, the very first nation to attack the Israelites after they escaped from Egypt. God had commanded Israel to never forget what Amalek had done. And now, centuries later, a descendant of that ancient hatred had risen to the second highest position in the most powerful empire on earth. So how does this catastrophe begin? With something as simple as a refusal to bow. Mordecai was a Jewish man raising his orphaned cousin Esther as his own daughter in the Persian capital city of Susa. When Haman walked through the palace gates, all the king's servants bowed low before him. All of them, except one. Mordecai, a Jewish man of quiet courage, refused to bow. Haman was filled with fury. But Haman was not a small man with a small grudge. He was a man with empire-level ambition and empire-level hatred. He did not simply want to punish Mordecai. He wanted to punish every single Jew alive. As part of his campaign to wipe out the Jews, Haman offered the king an astronomical sum of money, a gift of 10,000 silver talents, to sweeten the deal. He cast lots, called Purim in Hebrew, to determine the most auspicious day to carry out his mass extermination. And the evil Haman convinced King Ahasuerus to allow the Jews of his entire empire to be killed. A decree goes out, across 127 provinces, written in the name of the king and sealed with the royal ring. On a single appointed day, every Jewish man, woman, and child in the Persian Empire is to be slaughtered. This was not a local pogrom. This was a blueprint for genocide. And the Jewish people had no army, no nation, no walls, no king of their own. They were scattered, vulnerable, living at the mercy of a foreign empire whose second in command had just signed their death warrant. It looked like the end, but God had already placed someone in the palace. Esther was a young Jewish woman living in the Persian diaspora who had found favor with the king and become queen, while keeping her Jewish identity secret on the advice of her cousin Mordecai. When Mordecai learned of the decree, he sent word to Esther with an urgent and piercing message. You were made queen for such a time as this. Your position is not an accident. Your access to the king is not a coincidence. You are here because God put you here, and if you stay silent now, deliverance will come from another place, but you and your family will perish. Esther trembles. To approach the king without being summoned was punishable by death, even for the queen. But she makes a choice that will echo through eternity. She fasts for 3 days, calls on the Jewish community to fast with her, and then walks, uninvited, into the throne room of the most powerful man on earth. The king extends his golden scepter. She lives. Over 2 carefully arranged banquets, Esther works with extraordinary patience and wisdom. And at the decisive moment, she reveals the truth. She is Jewish. The man the king trusts above all others has issued a death warrant for her people and for her. King Ahasuerus, outraged, took action. Haman was hanged on the very gallows he had built for Mordecai. The man who had cast lots to destroy a people was destroyed instead. The gallows he built for his enemy became the instrument of his own execution, and the Jews throughout the Persian Empire were given the right to defend themselves. On the appointed day, the Jews throughout the Persian Empire mobilized and defeated the enemies who had wanted to kill them. Mordecai and Esther established a holiday to commemorate these amazing events, the Feast of Purim, still celebrated by Jewish people every year to this day. The story of Esther is many things. It is a story of courage, of providence, of the way God works through ordinary people in impossible situations. But in the context of what we are talking about today, it is something else as well. It is the first recorded attempt by someone operating within the Persian sphere to exterminate the Jewish people. And remarkably, it failed. Now we fast forward. Centuries pass. The Persian Empire falls to Alexander the Great. The Greek Empire rises and falls. The Roman Empire rises and falls. Empires come and go like tides. Through all of it, the land of Persia continues to exist under different names and different dynasties. The Parthians, the Sassanids, and remarkably, during much of this period, Jewish communities within Persian lands actually flourished. Jews thrived in Persian lands, particularly in Babylonia, where the Babylonian Talmud was compiled. The great body of Jewish religious law and commentary that shapes Judaism to this day was written down on Persian soil. So even after the drama of Esther, the relationship between Jews and Persia was not one of unbroken hostility. It was complicated, layered. There were periods of persecution and periods of coexistence. That is the honest truth. But then, in the 7th century AD, everything shifts in a way that will eventually reshape the entire world. Islam is born on the Arabian Peninsula. Within a generation, Islamic armies sweep across the Middle East, North Africa, and Persia with stunning speed. By 651 AD, the ancient Persian Empire, with its millennia of history and its complex relationship with the Jewish people, is conquered. Persia becomes a Muslim land. A sad chapter in Israel-Persia relationships began when Islam was introduced to the Middle East in the 7th century AD. During the Muslim prophet Muhammad's lifetime, he grew increasingly violent toward the Jewish people. This is not a claim about all Muslims or about Islam as a whole. History is far too nuanced for that. But the specific political theology that would eventually take root in Iran would carry within it a fierce hostility toward the Jewish people and toward Jewish sovereignty. Centuries pass. Persia becomes Iran. The land changes its official name. Dynasties rise and fall. And then comes the most extraordinary chapter of all, because before the final rupture, there is one last, unexpected moment of friendship. It is 1948. The world is still reeling from the Holocaust. 6 million Jews have been murdered in the heart of civilized Europe. And out of that ash and agony, the state of Israel is reborn in the ancient homeland of the Jewish people after nearly 2,000 years of exile. The Arab world erupts in opposition. Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Iraq, they declare war on the newborn state the very day it is proclaimed. But Iran? Iran was in fact the second Muslim-majority country to recognize Israel after it was founded in 1948. Under Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, Iran and Israel developed a relationship that was not merely diplomatic. Under the Shah, the relationship encompassed shared intelligence operations, joint military projects, and billions in bilateral trade. The Iranian monarchy supplied Israel with oil through a joint pipeline. El Al operated direct flights between Tehran and Tel Aviv. Israeli construction firms built infrastructure across Iran. For 30 years, Iran was one of Israel's closest and most important regional allies. In a neighborhood full of enemies, the non-Arab nation of Iran was a strategic partner, a friend, and a lifeline. And then, in 1979, the world cracked open. The Iranian Revolution is one of the most consequential events of the 20th century, and even now, decades later, its shockwaves are still being felt. The Shah, for all his modernization and Western alignment, was an authoritarian ruler. Discontent had been building for years, and when it finally exploded, it was not a secular or democratic movement that captured the revolution. It was a religious one, led by a fierce and uncompromising cleric named Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. The new regime was fiercely anti-Israel on grounds of belief and religion. Iran cut off all official ties with Israel. They closed the Israeli mission in Tehran and handed the building over to the Palestine Liberation Organization. Khomeini declared the annihilation of what he called the Zionist entity to be a goal of the new Islamic State. Iran's diplomatic ties with Israel ended in 1979, coinciding with the Iranian Revolution, which ended with the Islamic Republic of Iran, headed by Ayatollah Khomeini, taking power and ending Iran's historical monarchy. Overnight, one of Israel's most important allies became its most dangerous enemy. In 1989, the Grand Ayatollah Khamenei assumed power and relations took a further turn for the worse. Khamenei referred to Israel as a cancerous tumor in the heart of the Islamic world. In November 2014, Iran's supreme leader tweeted that the regime of Israel has no cure but to be annihilated. And Iran did not stop at words. Iran sent weapons and hundreds of millions of dollars to anti-Israel groups, in particular Hezbollah and Hamas. A shadow war stretching across the entire Middle East, fought through proxies, through assassinations, through cyber attacks, through nuclear ambition. Now here is where the story takes its most profound and haunting turn. Because what is unfolding between Iran and Israel today was, according to the Bible, written down thousands of years ago. When people bring up Iran and Israel in the context of biblical prophecy, they often turn to Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39, a vision of a massive assault on Israel by a coalition of hostile nations, in which Persia is named among the aggressors. Think about that. The prophet Ezekiel, writing roughly 2,600 years ago, named Persia, the land we now call Iran, as part of a future coalition that would one day march against the restored nation of Israel. At the time Ezekiel wrote those words, Israel had not existed as a nation for years. Jerusalem was in ruins. The idea of a restored Israel would have seemed like an impossible dream. And yet here we are. Students of Bible prophecy observe that the prophecy in Ezekiel 38 and 39 lists Persia among the nations aligned against Israel in a future war involving a coalition that includes Russia and Turkey. The dominoes, they say, are lining up. Whether you read those prophecies as literal or symbolic, whether you are a person of faith or simply a student of history, there is something undeniably striking about the fact that the ancient text named these specific nations, and those same nations are now orbiting each other in exactly the way the text described. So let us bring it all together. What is the ancient biblical reason Iran and Israel became enemies? It is not simple. It is not a straight line. It is a story of breathtaking complexity that spans 3,000 years. It begins with Persia as savior, Cyrus the Great, called God's anointed, who freed the Jewish people from captivity and funded the rebuilding of Jerusalem and the temple. It passes through Persia as threat, Haman the Agagite, who rose to power within that same empire and engineered a plot to destroy every Jewish life in the known world, only to be undone by the courage of a young Jewish queen named Esther. It wins through centuries of coexistence and conflict, through the coming of Islam and the slow transformation of Persia's identity. It reaches its modern climax in 1979, when a revolution swept away the last friendship between these two nations and replaced it with open, declared ideological enmity. And it arrives at the present moment, with Iran and Israel locked in what many analysts describe as an existential confrontation, a shadow war that has now begun to emerge into the open. The Bible does not present this as a story without a resolution. With every threat to Israel's security, The biblical narrative shows God raising friends and allies, even from within enemy territory. The story of Esther proves that even when darkness seems total, even when the decree has been signed and the gallows have been built, the story is not over. Iran's ancient identity as Persia reveals a forgotten chapter in biblical history, one in which it played a redemptive, even messianic role in the life of Israel. That chapter is not the whole story, but it reminds us that nations, like people, are not fixed in their destinies. History has turned before, and it can turn again. The ancient question echoes across the centuries. Will Persia's story end as it began, as an instrument of restoration? Or will it end as Ezekiel described, in a final catastrophic clash? The answer, if history and scripture are our guides, has not yet been written. But the stage is set, the players are in position, and the world is watching.
Let us rejoice in the bounty the harvest has brought us this year. May the kingdom prosper. Melodies soothe the soul, my king.
Indeed. May this peace last eternally.
We must increase our pace if we are to reach the gates. The scouts report movement near the eastern ridge. Stay alert. Look here. It is the forbidden text. If they find us with this, we are dead. shall be healed.
Tell the Queen, a decree for our destruction has been issued.
She must intervene, Majesty. Assemble the people. I will go to the king. My king, my God, grant me the words.
What will become of us?
We must have faith. Pray harder.
Hear our cries, God. Save us from this decree.
Behold, the heavens declare his glory. A new covenant is forged this day. And the heavens shall tremble, and the earth shall shake, for the Lord of hosts gathers his army for battle.
The gods are everywhere. We must be discreet.
Silence. The royal decree is absolute. You are commanded to surrender the scrolls by tomorrow's light. They mean to destroy us. All of us.
My children! My children! What have they done?
Baruch atach Adonai, Dayan ha'emet.
Hear our voices, Lord. Have mercy on your people. Deliver us from this storm.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Echad.
A warning for the Queen. Haman's plot threatens every Jew in the kingdom. She is our only hope. Who knows whether you have been elevated to a royal position for such a time as this? We must act now to save our people from destruction.
For 3 days, night and day, we will neither eat nor drink. My maids and I will fast as you do.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Tma Yisrael Yehoe Aledeinur Yehoe Ethadi. Baruch Shem Karued Miluchurato Laoilim Veyand.
This scroll contains the laws given by Moses, Your Highness. It guides our traditions.
Your Majesty, the people of Jerusalem send their warmest regards and pledge their loyalty to the throne.
I will go to the king, though it is against the law. If I perish, I perish.
before your Lord, or face the wrath of Persia.
Send the decrees at once. On the 13th day of the 12th month, we shall be rid of them all. Behold, the night has come upon you, O kingdom. The whirlwind of the Lord has gone forth in fury. Hear us, protector of Israel. Save us from this darkness.
It is glowing. I have never seen anything like this.
The divine light reveals the ancient secrets.
The astronomical report, my lord.
It is satisfactory. See that it is filed in the Royal Archive immediately.
The great God has made known to the king what shall be after this. The dream is certain, and its interpretation trustworthy.
Hear my voice, God of my fathers. Let your favor rest upon your servant and your land.
O Lord, hear my prayer. How long must we dwell in this foreign land?
Unto you, O Lord, do I lift up my soul. My God, I trust in you. Let me not be ashamed.
Fear not, Daniel. From the first day that you set your heart to understand, your words were heard. I have come because of your words.
By the light of the Almighty, I command you to cease. Your authority holds no sway here.
I have come to warn you of the future. Great kingdoms shall rise, only to be shattered by the wars to come. From the smoke they rise, a golden eagle soaring high. But Babylon itself shall crumble to dust.
We are not fighting against flesh and blood, but against the rulers of this dark world. What hope do we have against such powers? We raise our cups in honor of the Queen and the prosperity of our people. L'chaim. Let us rejoice in the bounty the harvest has brought us this year. May the kingdom prosper. Melodies soothe the soul, my king.
Indeed. May this peace last eternally.
Arise and go forth from this land to the land that I will show you. I will make of you a great nation.
Welcome, my friend. Come, sit and celebrate the great honor bestowed upon you. No man, save the king himself, is worthy of such honor and favor as I. Indeed, my friend. Let us drink to your greatness. Everyone bows to Haman. How dare you remain seated when I pass? You and your people will pay for this insult. Bow, you insolent fool, or face the consequences. I will not bow to any man. That Jew dares to defy me. He will pay for this. Heave!
Watch the weight! All right, easy now, set it down.
This is the height required. 50 cubits, so all of Shushan can witness the fate of Mordecai.
Note this passage here, detailing the lineage of the high priest in the time of Manasseh. Yes, it clarifies the previous entry.